The infamous whiteboard continues to live on with the Lady Vols. I'm sure a lot of us are aware of it or have listened to past episodes about the Lady Vols and Kim Caldwell bringing that whiteboard to Rocky Top with her. So during the Lady Vols' media day, I had a chance to get some of the players' opinion and even better, their reaction to that whiteboard and really just the benefit of having that. On another note, though, I know a lot of us by now know about Kaiya Wynn and her season-ending Achilles injury. So really upsetting, disappointing, and heartbreaking news coming out of camp before the season starts. But she did announce she will be returning for a fifth year. Coach Kim Caldwell puts it that that's probably one of the best, if not the only good news coming out of this really heartbreaking injury. And we'll get to more on that a little bit later. But back to the Lady Vols' media day. So many great conversations. It's such a great time to learn their personality, learn about coaches that we don't really hear from throughout the season. So I'm sure we'll have a number of episodes coming up because there's just not enough time in the episode to get to all of the great content that I got from those conversations. But I want to show maybe just a tip of the iceberg from those conversations the other day here in this episode. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. I'm Paige Dower. This is the Field Pass. Yeah, Kaiya Wynn's injury, it's significant for a number of reasons, not only because of the way, of course, it maybe alters the way Kim Caldwell wanted to operate her program, but also it really halts all of the progress Kaiya had made since last season. If you can recall back, towards the back half of that year, really even into postseason play, she was showing tons of promise week in and week out. You just saw consistent growth about her, especially on the defensive end of the ball. All of those characteristics and things that our eyes were seeing remain true here in the preseason and after Kim Caldwell arrived to the team as well. They understand they are losing someone significant when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. She's a great driver of the ball. She crashes the boards. Again, that aggressive rebounder. She has this elite defensive part and aspect to her game that really helps set the tone for the Lady Vols. And as Kim Caldwell describes it as heartbreaking, she says really the only thing good that will come out of this is that she does get one more year with Kaiya.
She kind of sets the blue collar culture that we want. So it's a big missing piece for us. I think she's a phenomenal human being, and just by being in the gym, she's still in great spirits. She makes people laugh. She still leads. She still talks. The only good thing to come out of this is we get her for another year, and I get to be around her for one more year.
Yeah, so really just very upsetting, disappointing, heartbreaking news, all of the above with Kaiya Wynn out for the season with that Achilles injury. But as Kim Caldwell went on to talk about Kaiya, she's still very much in high spirits, whether she's on the sideline when they're on the court practicing, the weight room, the film room, wherever it is, she's in high spirits, still brings a smile to the team. So it's good to see that she's been able to handle this heartbreaking news the way that she has, and it'll be really interesting and awesome to see how much she is able to develop as she does begin rehabbing her Achilles injury. But now I do want to turn our attention to the players that are active on the roster and just really start highlighting some of these awesome conversations. I think next week we'll get more into the X's and O's as they go and get ready for their exhibition game against Carson Newman next week. So I think the day leading into that we'll do more X's and O's, positionless basketball. We'll dive a little into that in this episode, but not too much. At one point, I do want to get to Coach Gabe Lazo. He's one of the assistants on the team. Oh, man. He is a character. He's a riot. The team loves him. So if we're interested in learning maybe about a couple of the other coaches, I'll certainly do an episode on him for sure. But that energy that we see from Coach Gabe Lazo kind of has filtered itself into the other players because a couple of them, like Jillian Hollingshead, who I've covered for a couple of seasons now, I've always thought of her as kind of those more like reserved players. Like she isn't very talkative, can be a little quiet or shy around media, maybe because the camera's in your face, and I totally get it because that's not a natural way to have conversations with a camera in your face. But when I was talking to her and catching up with her and seeing how she was doing, I noticed that she just had a different energy to her. She was so much more conversational, so much more relaxed. So I asked her, I'm like, I know there's a lot of growth that you've had on the court. You're one of the players that surprised Kim Caldwell when she first arrived to Rocky Top, but do you also feel that you've become more open with yourself, that you've become more vocal and, kind of grown a lot in the interpersonal part of your journey here at Tennessee? And she says that she did. And a lot of it comes because of the positive environment. And that's a word she used a lot when we were talking. Just the positive environment around the team has allowed her to grow as a person and kind of evolve into more of like this outgoing type of person.
This is the closest we've been, like, as a team in like forever. I mean, like, we just meshed so well together, and we just all started with each other. So I was shocking to me, but I'm glad it was a good shock.
And what I can say for sure, and just our limited time around the team, I think it's just been a handful of open practices. It's been a handful of media availability. So it's still very limited what we know about this team. But what I think I can say for certain or near certain at this point is that there is like this new energy to the team. The culture is probably as strong as it's been in a long time. You can tell it's a new era. As the team would say, there's a new aura around the team. And it's absolutely true. Not only because you see so many more smiles on the court during practice, the way they converse with each other before practice starts, but the way that they were set up on the court was they were like sets of tables around the court and you go around and talk to them. Well, maybe while someone's not talking to one of those players, they get up and kind of gravitate towards their head coach and Kim Caldwell. And a couple of times I actually had to go over to that conversation and try and pull one of them away. I'm like, I want to talk to you next. Like, come on over here. One of them being Ruby Whitehorn. And I just had to ask her, so I'm like, again, it's like the second time I had to pull someone away, and I felt so bad because the conversation looked like it was going so well. So I had to ask her, I'm like, what is it about Coach Kim Caldwell that you all just like gravitate towards her? And even in a scenario like this where like maybe you should be sitting in your seat, like you just can't help but get over there and talk to Coach Kim Caldwell. And she says, honestly, it's kind of because she's like one of the peers. She's one of us. She's kind of like a goofball. And it was really interesting to see Ruby kind of show us a different side to Coach Kim Caldwell.
Honestly, she is a big goofball. Like, I think that not a lot of people know that because she is really like tight on business, and so like she is very much about business and basketball, but she can very much feel like a peer sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think our whole coaching staff is like that. They're very relatable. They're just easy to talk to.
Yeah, so as Ruby puts it, Coach Kim Caldwell, she's tight on business, but she's also so relatable, and it brings this different level of positive energy. Again, that word positive, we'll hear it from Jill later as well, but that's allowed them to see this growth on the team, for this connection across the teammates to really fulfill this, family-like atmosphere, this family-like culture. And it's something that Jillian says like they haven't really felt in a while, and sometimes it's hard to get that when you have new freshmen on the team that she did early enroll, so they are familiar with Kaiya Boyd, but you have a number of new transfers, you have people that left, who's staying, you got new coaching staff, you have a new scout team, so many different changes. And in spite of all of that, it's really even brought them closer than before.
Everything is really just like super positive. I keep on saying that, but like it just helps you just bring out more in yourself and just help you bring out stuff in your teammates as well.
And one of those leaders that has helped the team be close, despite her being a transfer, again, Ruby Whitehorn, redshirt freshman Kaiya Boyd said that Ruby is one of those leaders on the team that really does encourage you and really tries to get the most out of you. So it shows that despite if you are like a Jillian Hollingshead and you're entering essentially like your third season at Tennessee, or you're someone new entering your third month, a little bit more than that. But despite how long someone's been there, it hasn't impacted the way that they fulfill their role or come into their role with the team.
It's good. Ruby's going to push you to be the best version of yourself because she wants to see everybody on the team succeed. And just her being one of the older people on our team, she's just a great leader.
Now, Ruby comes to Tennessee after playing 2 seasons with the Clemson Tigers. She started 62 of the 66 games there. She scored in double figures 38 times with 4 20-plus point efforts. So if you break that down, that's about 10.8 points per game, a little over 5 rebounds a game, and nearly 2 assists, and just about 1 steal a game in those 2 seasons, while having a shooting percentage of about 44% from the field. With Clemson, she was relied on to be one of the leading shooters for the team, and the ball kind of was always in her hands. And it's a bit of a different scenario now that she's here at Tennessee, where not every shot that goes off has to come from her hands. She has to learn that she can, dish it out, give it to her teammates, because really all 5 of them, whoever's on the court, they probably can shoot, especially if you look at the way that the team is performing, who's coming back, and what have you. But where she struggles is sometimes kind of where Zakai Ziegler struggles, and you'll hear Rick Barnes talk about it all the time. Like, Ziegler's a little too hard on himself sometimes, and because of that, he kind of doesn't let these little mistakes, slide by. And again, you're just too hard on yourself. You have to let some of these go. That's exactly how Ruby Whitehorn is. She says she's a bit of a perfectionist. So anytime that there's somewhere where she feels she messes up or could have been better, she does really get down on herself. So as she is trying to build that confidence, be that leader that Kaiya Boyd knows she can be, and be an all-around player on the court, she knows that the struggle or the obstacle that she'll have to come over or overcome is in the mental game.
I'm a big perfectionist, and she knows that, and I think that she has found a way to kind of help me through that, and just being able to coach me as an individual, learning my tendencies and stuff like that. Like, she knows I'm a perfectionist, and I drive myself crazy if I'm not perfect. So just letting me know that I'm okay, and that everyone makes mistakes, and that my hard work and effort afterwards is why I can stay on the court and not score.
Okay, and now to the whiteboard that I teased at the top of the show. There are so many moments that I love when we have media day. You just obviously get to interact with them, unlike any way that you do during the regular season, especially in that group setting, but it's like one-on-one. So one, getting to learn their personalities, of course, their role within the team, but then, of course, the whiteboard. So when I was first talking to Kaiya Boyd, I asked her, I was like, so I've heard about this whiteboard. I heard you guys don't like it. You love to hate it. But tell me a little bit about the whiteboard. And she could not help but sigh and just be like, oh, come on.
I hate the whiteboard. I hate it.
You love to hate it.
I hate it.
How often is your name having hash marks next to it?
It really depends. If it's like turnovers, I might be on there a few times. But fouls, nah, fouls you might see favor on there.
And that aspect of my questioning got a little bit better too when I got to Ruby Whitehorn, because I remembered when we first learned about the whiteboard that Coach Kim Caldwell referenced Ruby. Now, if you're a little behind on the whiteboard, I'll link that episode here because we did have a whole episode about it. But essentially, the whiteboard is just a way to, keep track of, who's not crashing the boards, who's fouling, who's not rebounding, and it's like essentially a live play-by-play. So when I was asking Ruby Whitehorn, or reminding her that Coach Kim Caldwell used her as an example, and she's like, I'm Ruby, I didn't do that. Ruby could not believe that she was the one that was used as the example when it came to the players responding to the whiteboard, and it was just such a funny exchange. And I'll kind of butt both of those sound bites together for you, but you have to take a listen.
She did not say that. She did not say that. That's insane. That's insane. Because I don't do it. Like, when I do it, I tell them. But if I don't do it, like, I swear.
Is it like a foul, or like what is it that you don't do?
Well, most of mine come from like, okay, so we'll have tallies for like if you crash or not. So like making an effort to go get the offensive rebound. And most of the time, like, we'll do down, back, and stop. So the play's over, and I'm like, take my step, and I'm like, okay, I crashed, and they mark the tally, like, you took one step, you didn't go crash. So I'm like, all right, like, I have to give it to them sometimes, but sometimes I really be going.
Just incredible stuff. And I think in conversations like that, you really do start to learn their personality, and you really can see, again, that word positive. You can just see how happy and cheerful and excited that these players are, and we've only heard from a couple of them. We'll hear from more of them as the weeks continue and we get closer to the season, but it's just so fun to see that side of them. And that also lets you know, like, it's working. You might love to hate the whiteboard, but it's working. So from the live play-by-play, the live score bug, will you, and then all of the summer workouts that they did, all of the running that they did, they're now starting to really understand the system. They're able to put in new sets. They're able to kind of fulfill this idea of positionless basketball. It was a little hard of a concept for the players to learn earlier in this season, but from the summer workouts to now, they feel like they've kind of turned the page and things are starting to click a little bit better. And while Coach Kim Caldwell will say Novembers for her are usually horrendous, there's a chance that it might not be so ugly this go around.
Yeah, when she first said that, I was like, what do you mean? Like, how are we going to have a point guard? How are we going to have a big, like, how are we going to have a shooting guard? Then I realized everyone does everything. Yeah. You know, everyone pretty much does everything. So I definitely see, and it definitely makes sense to me now. I mean, she has a good track record anyways, so I mean, I trusted her, but I was like, how are we gonna do this? But now I kind of see it, and hey, we're all on board.
I fit the system very well because I'm already play fast enough. So it was just like the system being like the type of system that she wants us to play. I feel like I like fit in really well. So it wasn't really challenging like getting into it, but it was difficult doing the running.
I would be really intrigued to see how they actually perform in this scrimmage game because I think a year ago they put up like 100 points on Carson Newman. Could be something similar to that, especially the way you hear Ruby talk about the types of shooters that are on the court. I know at the top of the show I teased to one of the assistants and Coach Gabe Lazo. I would love to go in depth about him. He's such a character. He was the mastermind behind the Summit Blue and Tennessee Orange Lamborghinis during their recruiting week when Alabama was in town. Jewel Spear rushed the field. I had a chance to talk to her about that. So there's so many more angles that we could go into. I think I might go a little more X's and O's next Wednesday, but we can definitely have a chance to have an episode dedicated to some of these other coaches, stuff like that. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will plan to make my episode maybe near what you guys are saying if we have enough input and what have you on there. Definitely didn't have a chance to talk to everybody. I probably could have talked to one person the entire time, but you kind of have to hurry up and balance to each player to even get more than like 3 or 4 players. So again, in the comments, let me know what content you would like to hear coming up and as we get closer to the season. And if you don't want to miss out, which I don't know why you would want to miss out, I would definitely recommend subscribing, putting on your notifications because we have so much coming up about the Lady Vols basketball team, the men's side of basketball. So just so much to get to, such little time. But that will be our episode today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, please like, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys on Sunday with a Tennessee football edition between me and Jimmy Himes.